Krishna. So today we are going to discuss the mystery of the universe. So for a moment we have one PowerPoint presentation. Which we hope somehow or other to occupy our minds. And at the end, right, we have a drama about the mind. Is it? Okay. It's pretty much something in relationship to the mind. In the Vedic scriptures, mind is also the essence. It's the central pivotal point of our experience. And therefore any spiritual system or yoga system aims at understanding and controlling and therefore utilizing properly the mind. Okay, so we're just warming up our projector. When we say the word mystery, when we say the word mystery, what would that invoke in your mind? What would that mean? What would that allude, apply to, or what would that associate you towards? What is the thought that comes when we say mystery? 1 second, if you have hand, please raise your hand, and it's easier otherwise. Okay.
We are not familiar with the thought.
We are not familiar with something. Okay, what else? Yes?
Unknown facts.
Unknown facts. Okay, anything else? Yes?
Revealing secrets.
Okay, revealing?
Yeah.
What if they're not revealed? I mean, secret, better true, yeah. Could be revealed, doesn't have to be revealed, because then it remains a mystery. Okay, we're getting something. So mystery is something only until it's unknown, right? When it becomes known, it's not a mystery anymore. That's the point. So when we look at universe, we may definitely pretty much immediately realize that we know nothing about it. we don't know anything about it. I think even NASA stated that practically whatever we perceive, actually, even they said even whatever we perceive, not what we know, but even what we perceive, it's only like about 5% of what should be existing, or at least what they anticipate to be existing in the universe. So therefore it remains a mystery because we don't have any information, we don't have knowledge. But what is very interesting in the Vedic scriptures, that Vedic scriptures give us information which is beyond our sense perception. It's not only something that we can see, hear, smell, touch, taste. It's not only within the frame of the senses, but it's even beyond that. That means somebody whose senses have been much greater, much more finer, much more enlightened, and therefore that information comes from that particular source to which we don't have so much access to. Of course, we can perceive something, or upon receiving certain information, understanding it more, but there is something far more greater than what we are entitled to, because we are limited by our own karma. And these middle planetary systems that our planet is situated, it's very, very limited. It's very limited, and it's only presented and given to us as much as we require, not more than that. So what we perceive about the universe and what we try to understand about the universe, I mean, there's a joke. It's like, but it's a realistic example also. It can be like some little ant. You understand the ant crawling and just exploring. Ants are always pretty good in exploring. They can find so many things. And the ant crawling through your, throughout your body and walking up the arm and maybe neck up here, and then it comes to the nose, and then what it will discover? It's a black hole. for the ant, that's a mystery. It's okay, everything is mystery. All his crawling experience, it has been mystery, and it remains a mystery. Can't understand what's he crawling upon. And of course, ants pretty much realize only two dimensions, pretty much. If you place, let's say you place a sugar in front of ant, what do you think he will think? What would be his thought? Yes.
He would think it of a transparent rock.
He would think it's a mystery. That's what he would think. How did that, whatever transparent rock or crystal sugar, how did it appear? If you place it like this, right? It's a mystery. For an ant, that's a mystery. You place something eatable in front of him. Where did it come from? No? And you take something away from the ant, there'll be another mystery. It disappeared, right? So we are also like this. We are like little ants dealing only with 3 dimensions compared to so many different realities that exist within this universe. But fortunately, we do have source of information, as I said, that deals beyond our perception. But again, to the extent that it's required and necessary for us. To enlarge, to expand our consciousness so that we can deal with higher realms of consciousness. So anyway, today we are going to point to some common sense, reasonable, logical facts of existence of the universe and its origins. So please stay tuned, and in the course of time, if you have any questions or doubts, you may raise your hands. Also, we may discuss that, or you may wait till the end and then we can have more elaborate discussion. Okay. Maybe we can have these lights off, right? So then the focus can be on the screen. And maybe somebody can turn this laptop away from me and point it towards the screen, right? Not like last time, keeping everybody in the dark. So by observing this world around us scientifically, we can see the hand of a supreme intelligent designer. So there are several topics that we're going to cover in a very short period of time. That's your observation, scientific observation, $2 million question, activity time, and the prime duty. Okay. So who creates and maintains this beautiful and harmonious universe, right? I mean, when we do perceive, when we get out of this Mumbai, and just get out a little bit in nature, somewhere up the hills or wherever, whatever it might be, anywhere outside practically, we can see that material nature is quite attractive, it's quite beautiful. So then just by observing, we can understand if there is artistry in the nature, that it's common sense that there must be an artist behind it, right? And if there is beautiful organization, there must be somebody who organized something, right? Creation points to creator, design to designer, energy to energetic, and flawless laws to the law maker. These are all different paintings. I think just a few days ago I saw there was someone's birthday. Vincent van Gogh is famous in the West. Famous artist. Here he comes. Anywhere. There's some other ones. There are many. So we see that those paintings have been painted, right? But when we look at the nature again, there's a question mark. Who made this? Who made this? It looks like, well, I guess it's Victoria Falls or something in Africa. So who is the artist when we look at the nature? And we should, it's just a common sense, it's the most natural question to be asked. To make an artificial rose, we need what? We need paper, right? Scissors, some glue, maybe a little imagination, and definitely somebody behind it. Who is that? There is a person, right? There's somebody behind. So what to speak of the flower in nature, which with their delicatenesses, biological complexity, fragrance, and their shapes and forms. Nowadays we get roses from the other market. If you ever smell this rose, will it have any fragrance? So many flowers are pretty much artificial flowers. Of course, you can come here, you can join us every morning now during this season. We are out here in the garden. We have some champa trees, and we pluck some champa flowers for Krishna. That's a very, very nice engagement. If you ever think of not being able to do anything else in the morning or find yourself free, please try to come. It's a wonderful experience, plucking very fragrant, delicate and soft champa flowers. So artistry therefore points to the artist. And we see that for every urge there is fulfillment in the nature. Right? We are thirsty, there's water. If somebody is hungry, there is some plants or something to eat. You know, we have a need to relate, to express our love, whatever. Then there is always some other living being to reciprocate. Then we have urge to worship. Everybody has urge to worship or idolize, right? Even if you don't do it in relationship to God, then I'm sure you have your favorite sports star or your favorite movie star or any kind of star or anybody like this. There's an urge, there's a need, there's necessity. So material nature have provided for all these different kinds of requirements. So in the theory of cause and effects, when we see the arrow hitting the target, it's a common sense that must have come from somewhere. No? Somebody must have released the arrow. You know, if the fan is turning, then it's obvious that again it must be some kind of electricity or somebody who is moving the fan or somebody who pressed the button at least. Then puppet and puppeteers, right? There is somebody who is making them move. And then whenever there is a seed, then we can understand most likely there will be a plant, or wherever there is a plant, most likely again it will produce the seed which will result in another plant. So whatever we see in this material world, then we have to understand that it's also present, you know, that the effect is present in the cause. That's the most rational understanding, right? If we see certain effect, the certain effect is present in the cause. So what is that cause? And who makes everything to be caused in its effect? These are very natural questions. So then we see, yeah, they say this this shape, hexagon shape. It's the most efficient, the most quality type of shape that can occupy any certain space. So the bees are just incredibly expert in organization and utilizing any particular space or the resources that they're having their access towards. Then we know the anthill or termites, you know, how they build, how they make, like now we are using AC, right? They don't need AC. They make different tunnels. In the winter it's heating, in the summer it's cooling. How do they know? It's just incredible organization, right? It's just incredible. That requires certain intelligence. Well, where does that come from? Then the spider's net, of course. You can feel when anything gets stuck in it. Then cocoon. Then beavers. They're very good organizers. They can make dams everywhere and just turn the water this way or that way, whatever suits them. So therefore, beautiful organization points to the organizer. Nothing is just happens by chance. So likewise, we see wonderful things created by man. We see the sleek cars. Someone therefore manufactured it. Friendly computers, somebody assembled it. Elegant watch, somebody designed it. Architectural marvels, somebody erected it. Skyscraper buildings, somebody built it. Wonderful sculptures, somebody carved it. So shouldn't this universe have a super intelligent creator too? No? So therefore creation points to the creator. So these are very small seeds. Looks like what, 1.5 centimeter maybe. And when you plant those, then you see what may happen. I don't know if anybody ever been to California. They have these huge sequoia trees or redwood trees. They're enormous. They're from definitely different age, not from this age. We would say from Dvapara Yuga, previous age. They're huge, enormous tree. I've seen one in Europe. They had it in one botanic garden. That's like really, really enormous. So from a small seed, all the information required is actually present, so that such an enormous tree can be manifested. Because even the car can go through it, so huge. Anyway, 84 meters. Wow, that's huge. Well, almost as a Statue of Liberty. Okay, so that's on a macro level. What about micro? It's also there. Then we see like the human brain, it said it can store more information than all the libraries in the world. Amazing. Even Einstein said we don't know how much. We use our brain only for about a few percent. So pattern recognition and correction abilities. You know, nowadays, whenever you want to sign into something, right? They will ask you, they'll ask, are you a robot? No? So then you have to type in, all the different letters, but they're kind of, like sided or whatever. No? So a robot can't recognize this. A robot cannot recognize this. Like, what would the first word be? Huh? No, which, I'll help you, okay, a little bit. Which city? London, okay. So like this, the computer can't recognize this. So human brain cell is made of 1 trillion brain cells, and each one of these is more powerful and sophisticated than the most computers around the planet today. So where did that come from? How did that, and okay, we can say evolution, we are using this, but then how come we are not utilizing our brains? As I said, Einstein pointed out we only use like maybe a few percent of it. Then if it's so sophisticated, then how come we are not able to utilize what apparently we ourselves are having? Okay, what about complexity of our eyes? Eye has 40 million nerve endings, which move estimated 1 lakh times a day. And retina contains 137 million light-sensitive cells. How can this be a product of chance? How is it possible? Such a complexity, incredible complexity. So Darwin also said, to suppose that the eye, with all its inimitable contrivances for adjusting the focus to different distances, for admitting different amounts of light, and for the correction of spherical and... Anyway, now our slide has expanded a little bit. Basically, he says, seems impossible. So to suggest, paraphrasing what he's saying, that such a complex organ as an eye have been manifested by chance, he also admits actually it is practically impossible. It's just, it would be senseless. So going down to this micro world now, we see all these RNAs and DNAs, and let's see what's going on down there. Provides lattice structure. Okay. All these different cubics, ormphobics and whatever. All these different kinds of models. Okay. Just to scroll through. So the graph it, slight molecular change, and it will turn into diamond. Now I want to speak of planets in the solar universe, and then of course this is, oops, too fast. All these different forms that exist. This is Fibonacci. I think Fibonacci sequence, right? So on that micro level, what an incredible complexity organization is required for manifestation of something. Then of course we see in the nature beautiful waterfalls. So all the necessary resources for survival are present within this planet. We see that water has maximum density at 4 degrees, so the rivers remain liquid. Ice floats on the surface of water due to its lesser density. Water releases quantities of heat as it freezes. Dry land, stable platform for terrestrial life, then presence of metals near the surface. All this makes, soil that provides minerals for consumption of plants. All this makes the life pretty much possible. So it makes it an inhabitable world. So that's why we said earlier, we had that slide. For a different urge, of course, there is fulfillment in the nature, right? So we see that this material nature, whatever we require, it provides. It exists. So how does this come about? How does this come about? That for everything that we need, there is fulfillment for it. So that means there's some intelligence behind it. No? And then we also see, of course, there is a fine-tuning within the universe. If anything would be a little bit different than what it is, we wouldn't have the world as we know it. So many different constants they're just constants. You can't change them. You change anything or you attempt to do it, of course you can't do it either. It's another thing. They're just constant. And they make this world wonderful as it is. For the 24-hour round-the-clock monitoring, critical parameters to monitor, it's orientation, spin, velocity, orbit decay corrections, cosmic radiation, heat dissipation, Earth satellite distance. You need a satellite control room and so many different scientists. Yeah. And how many times it happens that even you can't release the shuttle up or the satellite or something. So many accidents. So then we have one satellite, but what about the planet? Can you imagine the Earth as a planet, 6 times 10 to 21 metric tons, rotating in its sphere, speed around the sun, 106. 106. Okay, 1 lakh, let's say, 1 lakh kilometers per hour. So who is in control? Is it NASA? If a traffic policeman controls the signal of traffic, who controls the traffic of revolving planets? And how come they didn't collide yet? They're moving in their own orbits. So therefore design points to designer. And we said our planet, what to speak of the sun? The sun, it's enormous, huge. So many times greater than our planet. So in 1 second, our sun produces enough energy to meet the current needs of the entire Earth for 500,000 years. So the reaction taking place in sun is nuclear fusion, same as a hydrogen bomb. Anyway, there are different details here given. So how amazing this planet is. So therefore, energy points to energetic. There must be a source of energy. So when we look at the world around us, this is Paris anyway, doesn't matter. So many nice cities in Europe. So engineering college starts at, well, 9:30 or whatever time. Then who made this law, right? You can't come too late and say, you know, it will be marked absent. You have to follow, right? So principle made the law. And then, what to speak of driving? In India, it's on left. If you come to Europe, you know, it's on the right. You can't drive on left. You'll get in big trouble. Or anybody coming from Europe, when they come to India, they have to adjust. You know? Or even US, yeah. So keep right. So who made the law? Traffic police, okay. How many overs in one day international match? How many players in one team? How many ways batsmen can be out? Who made these rules? Otherwise you don't have a game. Okay, periodic table of the elements. So it's all, this arrangement is the periodic law and not the periodic chance. And then of course we have so many different kinds of laws of physics, you know, laws of optics, laws of thermodynamics. So both micro and macro world, precise laws of mathematical accuracy govern this world. So that means flawless laws point to the lawmaker. So we see in this world somebody is beautiful, somebody is ugly, somebody is handsome, somebody is not so handsome, somebody is very rich, somebody is poverty stricken, somebody is educated, prominent, somebody is just working basically. So then, how is it decided? How is this decided? Sometimes you try to change some things, right? Sometimes you try to adjust your handsomeness or beauty. Sometimes it works, many times it doesn't, makes things worse. So then, how is it decided, and how is it that one can have, or it doesn't have any influence upon any of those? How many people want to be, how many people in this room want to become rich? Now please raise your hand. So now what to do? How many people are rich here? Anyway, don't worry. We won't disclose. So it's something actually really you can't influence. You can't influence, you're practically born with this. It's said that with our birth, at least four things are decided. That's your richness, your wealth, your beauty, your education, and your time of death. It's already decided, you can't change it. And whatever you're doing now, you are preparing for your next life. You're deciding things for your next life. So then who decides? You may say, yeah, we have certain influence within certain decisions, that is correct, but it's very minute. It's incredibly minute. Because we also act upon the laws, certain laws, and if we do follow, then we get certain results. If we don't, we don't. We may even get some contrary, just opposite results. And then again it comes to the point that that's another law, but who made that law? And then who decides? Somebody far beyond ourselves. So then we can say, we choose education. And that's also, that's not also complete freedom in choosing, right? You might like so many things, but you might not qualify, or for whatever reason, you might not really enter into whatever you want to. Then maybe job, even that also, there is certain, okay, so let's say some certain freedom is there, not absolute. Then you may choose husband or wife, As recently one boy chose somebody for the wife, but then she changed her mind and then it didn't work. So it led into big disappointment. So choices vary and are temporary. Or we may choose the car. Of course you may choose, but then again that's another thing that the scriptures are pointing. You may have some choice, but it also depends on your credit, right? You may choose the car, but if you don't have sufficient money to buy the car, will you be able to have that car? No. So that's also, both things are there. It's a credit or karma, good karma, and desire also. Both things are considered, or should be considered. And then maybe an apartment. But this, we definitely have not much choice now. We don't, can you change your parents? You have no choice over that. You know, your shape of the face or something. Maybe you can do something with plastic surgery, but pretty much very difficult. It's not so easy. Intelligence. What about intelligence? Well, I can tell you, you can improve your intelligence. You can improve your intelligence by following certain instructions that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama upayantite. Tadami. Tadami means I give buddhi, intelligence. So how does Krishna give intelligence? Now you can ask me after the class. I'll give you all the details if you want. If you want more of it. If you want more substantial intelligence. Okay. So who chooses and on what basis? Is it by chance? It is already shown that in the world of matter, physics, chemistry, thermodynamics, etc., followed definite, well-defined laws. Then how can our birth, beauty, intelligence only be random events? I mean, it's a common thing in the world. I guess everyone pretty much when we were young or teenagers, whatever, we were wondering how come I'm born here? How come I'm living here? How come I'm not somewhere else? How come somebody else, is living like this, somebody else is living like that? How come all these differences? How did it come about? I remember when I was somewhere in secondary school, some thought came to my mind. I was thinking, how come I'm not somebody else? I was particularly thinking about another person. It just came, the thought just came. There was no contemplation, there was no reason to compare anything. Just the thought came, how come I am who kind of I am, at least in this body, and then somebody else, and how come maybe I couldn't be someone like that? That thought came. I guess that was my first spiritual, some kind of enlightenment. So how come we are not someone else or can't be someone else? Of course, nowadays people want to be someone else. People also change the gender, and they're attempting to do certain things, but still they remain who they are pretty much. It's just some external change, but not much internally. It's pretty much the same. There's not much greater difference within it. So there is a verse in Srimad Bhagavad Purana. It points out that this is karmana daiva netrana jantu deho papataye striya pravishta udaram pumso reta karnashraya. It's a law of karma. So it's a law of karma. So therefore again, flawless laws point to lawmaker. Okay, so now let's see what scientists say. There is a perfect brain behind all the natural physical laws. I'm very astonished that the scientific picture of the real world around me is very deficient. It gives a lot of factual information, puts all our experience in a magnificently consistent order. But it is ghastly silent about all that soundry that it's real near to our heart, that really matters to us. It cannot tell us a word about red and blue, bitter and sweet, physical pain and physical delight. It knows nothing of beautiful and ugly, good and bad, God and eternity. Science sometimes pretends to answer questions in these domains, but the answers are very often so silly that we are not inclined to take them seriously. Schrödinger, amazing personality. His favorite scripture, you know what was his favorite scripture? Anybody knows? Can you guess? Bhagavad Gita, believe it or not. He read Upanishads and he kept Bhagavad Gita always next to his bed. Amazing person. Okay. If you think strongly enough, you will be forced by science to believe in God. Kelvin, Newton. You know the story of Isaac Newton? Story of his model of the universe? Everybody knows this? So I don't have to repeat. It's a very, very well-known common story. Huh? Who doesn't know? Some of you don't know. Oh, so what do you know? Because that will take us a little time. Okay, in short, in brief. He had a friend who was really, like kind of not really theistically inclined. And then Newton spoke to him, of course, on a regular basis. And then that friend of his was pretty much disbelieving in any kind of what we were talking till now, law, order, organization, and somebody, artistry, design, and so forth, and somebody being behind it. So then Newton, one time he just decided to make a very beautiful model of the universe with all the planets and like kind of revolving around each other, sun and so forth. And then his friend stumbled into his working room and he saw that model and said, "Wow, amazing! Who made this? Where'd you got that?" And he said, "Oh, it was just kind of very sarcastic." Newton was very sarcastic, saying, "Oh, nothing. It just I had some things here, and there was a storm, and then after the storm, I just found it. It manifested on its own." And then, of course, his friend said, "No, that's ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's just a very irrational proposal." And then the Newton pointed, "Yes, it's very irrational. Therefore, then when we talk about the universe and precise order of planets within it and so forth, then we have also we have to conclude that there must be someone behind, organizing them." So then he pointed out, "Yes, then I made this model." So in this way, his friend was stunned. Okay. So he said, "This most beautiful system of the sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent, powerful being. This being governs all things, not as the soul of the world, but as a Lord over all, and on account of his dominion, he is to be called Lord God." Okay. I saw in it the atom, the key to the deepest. This is Mark's poem. "The key to the deepest secret of nature, and it revealed to me the greatness of the creation and the Creator. An equation for me has no meaning unless it expresses a thought of God." Okay. "There is a higher power, not influenced by our wishes, which finally decides and judges." Of course, how much influence do we have in our life, or for our life, within our life? We so often think, "I'm doing this, I'm deciding that." But as we pointed out, how many times that's not the case? Most often, actually. Or when it is, then it's sanctioned. We ought to value the privilege of knowing God's truth far beyond anything we can have in this world. Okay, $2 million question now. Now we'll ask a question. So what is now, so far, what you've seen in this presentation, I have to give a proper answer. So what is the origin of the universe? But I want to see hands. Okay, A, Big Bang. B, Big Bang. C, intelligent design. Or D, chance. Huh? So what do you think? C. Okay.
A, Big Bang.
A. Okay. Should I enlighten you? Answer is C. 1 crore goes to Krishna. I mean, he is Lakshmipati. All the Lakshmi sees. Okay, what is its purpose? Eat, sleep, be merry, kabhi khushi, kabhi gham. No purpose. To understand life. Okay, what's the answer? D. Okay. Oh, it's amazing. Okay, we got this. Okay, Krishna earned 2 crores. Okay. So, have you ever seen a complicated machine which came by chance? You know, in the first question, somebody say by chance, no? And has no purpose. Did we ever come across any machine which has no purpose and chance? You know? Just imagine you're walking down the Juhu beach, and one day you stumble across whatever machine, something. Of course, sometimes people nowadays they dump machines in the ocean, you know, which don't work. Might happen that they don't work, but you know, originally they had some. They were made with purpose, right? And you may say, oh, the machine, the waves splashing the sand have produced the machine. Is that a reasonable conclusion? No. I think it would be more reasonable to understand somebody dumped the machine was washed away back on the beach, and it used to have some purpose, and it didn't come by chance, somebody made it, no? That's a really complicated machine. Anyway, who knows what it is? Like the bulb. Who invented the bulb? Huh? Testing your general knowledge. Okay, what about the locomotive? Huh? See, a few of you didn't know it. Okay. What about telephone? Okay. What about telescope? Who was the first? Okay. So therefore, if we say Big Bang, because listen what it said. According to the Big Bang theory, everything began from a point of infinite temperature, infinite density, infinitesimal size that is physically undescribable, mathematically unverifiable, beyond all conception of space and time. So it should be emphasized that no theory of origin of solar system has yet won general acceptance. All involve highly improbable assumptions. So therefore, theory is still a theory, not acceptable till today. So it's still a theory. Okay. So, well, we'll just save a little time, but we'll just make a general comparison between government of, practically we can say any country, and the universal government. So every national government has a home ministry, right? You know, then medical, Ministry of Energy, health and finance ministry, currency, defense ministry. We just had here this morning, there was one gentleman who was a home minister? Was it the home? But he was in Ministry for Borders, something, border security? Huh? BSF, whatever. Okay. So, he could tell us more a little bit about it. What is going on? So the defense ministry is there, educational ministry, and so forth. Then in universal government, you see there are also different laws. If you break the laws, there are certain different kinds of consequences. Then medicine, we had herbs. That's supplied by nature. Energy, sun, moon. Yeah. There are also different energies that work according to directions and so many other different influences. What about wind and so forth? Thermal, all kinds of different other types of energies. Then we have different kinds of jewels and gold and things and stuff, right, as a finance ministry. Then different kinds of immunity, internal and external, from all different kinds of bacterias or different kinds of other negative influences from the universe. And then educational ministry, we have scriptures. Have different scriptures pointing at different information that, as I said in the beginning, sometimes that are even beyond our direct perception. So lessons, what we can learn from this is that behind every government there's a prime minister, behind the universal government there is God. It's a common sense. If I enter into any city, right, let's say at night, I see lights, I see traffic, I see things organized, I think, I have to conclude there must be a mayor, right? There must be somebody who is, controlling and governing and, keeps things in order. It's a common sense. So Prime Minister maintains and controls the country, God maintains and controls the whole universe. Government law abiders live happily and government law breakers are punished. So similarly, if you don't follow the laws of nature, that also, creates different kinds of reactions. So if we say, like we use or follow certain logic of that, I can't see. But I mean, can you see the mayor of Mumbai? How many of you have seen mayor of Mumbai? Only one person. See? Maybe two. Okay, I've seen it also. But that was not present one, that was some other one. And that was 20 years ago, I think. But I've seen it. That one I saw. I don't know who that was. You can search on the internet. It doesn't matter. But 20 years ago, we went to that island, right down to hanging gardens, and down that island at the not Elephant Island. Where is the government's house? Malabar Hill, down the Malabar Hill at that, next to Banganga House. It's just pretty much next to Banganga Hill. Anyway. So Krishna says, Mata Paratara Nanyant Kinchidastidananjamai Sarvamidam Protam Sutramani Ganaiva. Oh Arjuna, everything rests upon me as the pearls are strung on a necklace. Yeah, like I also have. I have this Tulsi Mala, see? Can you see the thread? No, you can't see the thread. It's within the Tulsi. It goes through. It goes through. So, but do we say there is no thread? It would be very unintelligent to make such a statement. Tulsi on its own will not stand like this. Of course, it's some other mystery or magic or something. But it doesn't. There is a thread that connects everything. So that's the statement Krishna says. So seeing, believing. What can we see? No. So one cannot see the Lord through empiric speculation or modern technology. Can we see radio waves? That means no radio waves are there. Can we see an electron? No scientists have ever seen an electron. They just conclude, they hypothesize. Can you see the what can we see? I mean, any frequency? Can you see different kinds of frequency now that the mobile can tune in or something? Or can we? So many things we don't see, but we understand by knowledge, by the effect that something exists. So it's not all by seeing. If I see only something, I would believe. So what is the real seeing? Actually, it's by hearing. To get knowledge of any subject, we refer to a book in that field. Similarly, to get knowledge of God, we must refer to scriptures. How many of you have been in wherever? Okay, Paris. How many of you have been to Paris? That we had some image of Paris earlier. Any of you? See, none of you have been in Paris. Is Paris existing? How do you know? You've never been there? You've never seen it? Huh? You have no idea? You've not been there? You didn't see? How can you say? How can you say? Photos, but so many photos are edited and this and that. No. And it can be anything, and somebody can tell you it's a Paris. How do you know? Those who have visited. Who had visited? None of you have been there, except me. Today, and that's the point. Somebody who has been there, he has to tell you about it, or at least you trust some reliable sources. It really has to be a reliable source, no? Of course, that's not a major discussion about, but it's just an example. It's just an example. It's not the point. Is you can't conclude things only by, seeing. You have to hear something. Sometimes many things are beyond your purview of vision. So that's why scriptures, I said also, again, repeating like we said in the beginning, it describes, it points to something that is beyond our direct perception. But when we come in the realm of that direct perception, then we can confirm it. That's the point. That's a that's called Shabda Pratyaksha. That's a direct experience through that Shastric Brahmana. That's amazing. So when we talk about, you can also perceive God, you can perceive spiritual world, but you follow the process. It's not that just by, information only. You can also have a perception, but purify your present perception, because present perception is faulty, it's defective. it's incomplete. So therefore scriptures are giving us information that finally we can see. Srila Prabhupada said you can also see Krishna face to face. Face to face. But purify your senses. Tune in your senses. Then it will be possible to do so. Okay, so therefore what is our prime duty to conclude? To use one's intelligence to appreciate the great brain of God, to use science to glorify God's creation, to create worldwide spiritual awareness, to understand and explain the purpose of Lord's creation. That's the most wonderful task that one can embark upon. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Can we have some lights? Okay, any comments, questions? Okay, later. Okay, do we have a kirtana or we have a dinner? Oh, drama, we have drama. Okay, yeah, mind. Okay, now we have a drama. Very nice drama performance by our drama team. And then again, I guess it's going to be a dinner. Hare Krishna. And if anybody has any questions, something, I'll be around even after the drama.